Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the distributive property, and this is what your notes are going to look like every time that we watch a video for a lesson. Make sure that the date is up here in the correct corner, the title's on here, and your learning target is on here as well. Okay, so today you can follow along in your book. We're on page 98, and you'll just need your book and a pencil to go ahead and fill out these notes. So go ahead and pause the video now if you need to go get those things. Okay, so to begin, I want to kind of show you the best way to picture distributive property, the best way to think about it anytime that you see it in math. The best way to think about distributive property is to actually picture a rainbow. Go ahead and write the word rainbow in on that first blank. So that's the best way to picture distributive property, and I'll show you what I mean right now. So this is an example of a problem that we can commonly see in math. It's read as 6 times the sum of 2 plus 5. And when we have the order of operations, we know that we're supposed to add the parentheses right here first. So we're supposed to do 2 plus 5, which is 7. And then all we have left is 6 times what was in that parentheses, which is 7, which gives us 42. So that's the way that we've learned so far how to solve problems like these. And this is definitely correct. But today we're going to learn how the distributive property can help us learn this, master this same concept as well. So we're going to use the same example of 6 times 2 plus 5. And the way we're going to look at it is like a rainbow. So if you can picture a little line that goes from the 6 to the 2 and the 6 to the 5, you will be able to picture this rainbow. I'll draw it for you right now. All right, so there's your example right here. And if you look, it kind of looks just like a purple rainbow. So what I did is I drew a line from the 6 to the 2, and then I drew a line from the 6 to the 5. And this brings us to our next step. We're basically pairing up those numbers, but remember that anytime a number is next to a parentheses like this right here, it means to multiply. So I paired the 6 with the 2, so I have to do 6 times 2. And then this center symbol right here shows us that we are still adding. So for this situation, we will need to add. And then my second line in my rainbow is the 6 times the 5. So I need to write my new problem, which is then 6 times 5. And then we're going to add these two together. So what is 6 times 2? Well, we all know that's 12. Keep that addition sign the same, plus. Then the 6 times the 5 is going to be 30. And make sure you bring down your equal sign. And 12 plus 30 is 42. And remember, these are not negative signs. These are your bullet points. Sorry, I'll change that for the next one, so that's not confusing. But look, you got 42 right here, and you got 42 right here. Both ways get you the same answer. However, in upcoming lessons and upcoming problems, we won't have numbers in these spaces right here. We'll have variables, and that's when the distributive property is very helpful. If you're following along in your book, go ahead and turn to page 100. We're going to look at example 3 in the very top, and specifically we're going to look at letter A. So letter A says 3 parentheses x plus 1 parentheses, or you can read that as 3 times the sum of x plus 1. Now in the problems up here, we had numbers inside of our parentheses. Remember that anytime you see an x, it's a variable, and that represents a number even though we don't know what that number is. We can treat it the same exact way as we did up here with the rainbows, only this time we're going to have a variable in our final answer. Let me show you what I mean. On the right hand side of the screen, I've added our steps to distribute section. So our first step in the distribution process is to distribute, or what I like to say, rainbow the outside number with the two inside numbers. So the outside number in this example was a 6. The outside number in this example is a 3. Okay, so right here in purple again, I have distributed the outside number with the first inside number and the second inside number. I drew my first little line to the 3 and the x, and then the bigger line from the 3 to the 1. That's my first step. My second step is to multiply the outside number with the first inside number. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about this first little line right here. So we're going to multiply the outside number with this first inside number. So our problem would look like 3 times x. Okay, and then as soon as I finish that, I need to do my third step, which is keep the function. And this right here is the function. Sometimes it'll be addition, sometimes it will be subtraction. So I have 3 times x. I'm going to keep the function, which is just a plus sign, an addition symbol. And then my fourth step is to multiply the outside number with the second inside number. So again, the 3 is my outside number, and in this case, the 1 is my second inside number. So my next part would be 3 times the outside number, which is 1, or the inside number, which is 1, I'm sorry. All right, and then my fifth step is to simplify and solve. And the reason I don't just say solve is because sometimes you will have an x or some sort of variable in your equation and you won't be able to solve it. You'll just be able to simplify it. And that's what we're going to do in this problem. So we still look at this first section right here and we have 3 times x. Well, 3 times any number can be written as 3x. And then our second section, we're still going to add it to it. And 3 times 1 is 3. And then if you look at this expression right here, 3x plus 3, can we simplify this anymore? We cannot. So 3x plus 3 is our final answer. That is the answer that you would box or you would highlight on your notes and on your homework assignment. Our last example that we'll be looking at is example 4b on page 100. And this is what it looks like when we deal with negative numbers with our outside number. Now this right here is a -3, so just keep that in your mind while we work through this. It's not these dashes like it was up here. I changed them to the bullets and I'll keep that changed for the rest of the notes from here on out. So this is a -3 times n minus 5. So in this one we have a negative and we have a variable. But we still follow the same rules and these same steps over here for when we distribute that outside number with those inside numbers. So our first step would be take that -3 and we're going to distribute it to the n and the 5. That's when we draw our purple lines or our rainbow. Okay, so that's what I did. I took the 2 lines and I drew my first line from the -3 to the n and my second line from the -3 to the -5. Please remember that that is a -5. Okay, so my next line would look like this, -3 times n. And then what's our symbol in the middle right here? Before it's been addition, this time it's what? Subtraction. So if you ever see a subtraction problem, you can always think of that as adding a negative. And we'll go over that in just a minute, but you can see it right now. What is -3 times -5? Think of it in your head if you can, but right now we'll just type it out as -3 times -5. Okay, so that's our first step as we paired those outside numbers with the 2 inside numbers. And we kept the function, which is right here subtracting, but subtracting is always the same as adding a negative. So that's why we have right here adding a negative. Okay, now the fourth step is to just multiply these two together and simplify and solve. So we've got a -3 times an n. Any negative number times a positive number is still a negative number. So -3n would be how those two numbers go together. We're going to keep that addition sign right there. And then -3 times a -5. If you have 2 negatives, they make a positive. So 2 negatives, when you're multiplying, make a positive. So -3 times a -5 is actually a +15. So negative 3n plus 15 is our next line. If you look at that, do you think you can simplify or reduce that in any other way? The answer is no, you cannot. So negative 3n plus 15 is as simple as it gets, and that would be the distributed answer for this problem up here. All right, so go ahead and take one more look at these notes right here. And we are now going to move on to our distributive property quiz. In some of my videos that I'll create, I'll have a video quiz right here for you to do. Go ahead and write down these questions on the back of your notes or a separate sheet of paper and solve them. You'll need to pause the video to watch or to solve these problems while you're solving them. I am not going to solve them on here. You will need to solve these 5 problems and then turn them in the next time you see me in class. Also, at the bottom of your quiz, I've just added these 3 categories right here, red, yellow, and green. So these are for the types of groups that we'll be working with during class when we meet next. So if you select red, that means you're lost and you need help. Maybe I need to teach this to you a different way, or you just need some extra practice, or you're confused about certain things. If you're in yellow, it means that you mostly get it, but you need some more practice to make sure that you really understand it. And if you choose green, green means this stuff right here is way too easy and you're ready for a challenge. So once you complete your quiz, make sure that you circle one of these answers so that I know which one you feel that you are supposed to be in, if you're in red, yellow, or green. It's just a way for me to help you and help you in class too once I see you again. So go ahead and pause the video right now and complete the quiz and also make your selection for which group you think you are going to be in, if you're going to be in red, yellow, or green. Okay, and typically on my instructional videos, I will not have a homework assignment because we'll be completing the homework assignment in class. But because this is my sample video, I am putting homework in because we are going to do it in class right now. So if you classified yourself as red, you'll be doing page 101, number 12 through 23 all. If you classified yourself as yellow, you'll be doing page 101, numbers 19 through 30 all. And if you classified yourself as green, you'll be doing page 101, numbers 21 through 25, and numbers 44 through 51 all. Okay, so go ahead and get started on that. Make sure to put your proper heading in the top right corner of your page in case you forget what that looks like. That is your name, the date, the assignment, which for this one is distributive property. You can abbreviate it. Page 101. That's good for now. And then you'll just need your class, which is 7B. Okay, go ahead and get started on that. Good luck.